Okay, so today we're going to talk about paper, and I have everything on the floor. So I'm going to keep the camera this way and kind of hold it up. I thought that would be the easiest way since I have so much paper. Paper I love and paper I don't love so much. So I want to, and it's like a disaster down here, right below the camera line. It's so I have like this little place I can stand. So okay, so I get a lot of messages and questions because, you know, some people are just starting out on their creative journey while other people are, you know, in the midst of it and have experimented quite a bit. And I recall I made art when I was a kid, just like all of us. I made art. I even took like a drawing class in college. And I just don't remember there being so many different kinds of paper. You just had, here's your drawing paper. That was it. It wasn't like it is now. We have so many choices. And I think that really, in order to find the paper you love, the paper that works for you, you have to experiment, and it can be expensive. So I'm going to tell you what I love, what I've tried, what I like about the paper, and I've actually narrowed down my paper selection, even though it may not seem like it when I show you everything. And there's certain papers I use for certain things. And throughout my life as an artist, I have tried so many different things. I've taken classes, looked at what other people have, and what works for one artist doesn't necessarily work for another one. And I think that's where the exploration component of being an artist comes in. You have to try it to see if you like it, and you have to try it more than once. You have to really work with something because sometimes it's awkward when you get a new art supply or you see someone like, oh, they just used that beautiful, $50 watercolor brush and it was effortless, and then you buy it and it's not so effortless. So you have to really spend time with your substrates, your art supplies, your tools in order to find what it is you're interested in, what works for you, and the kind of art you want to make. So, okay, so with that said, before I start talking about paper, I have to tell you a story. So one of our community members messaged me and said, well, you tell us stories about your mom, you've told us stories about this and that, but I want to know more about your childhood. And so I thought, well, I think that I will do that. So, when I went to Austin and I packed up my mom, there were so many things that we went through. And, my mom is 85 and she has 3 children. She has 2 stepchildren and she has 2 great-grandchildren. And so there are a lot of pictures in her home. I mean, literally we had to take frame. There were literally, 100 frames. So we had to consolidate. It was very hard. And so in every closet, every drawer, there were pictures. And then I came across this picture. Love that hairdo. So I actually remember getting this hair. It's called a hairdo back then. So my mom and her cousin, Joy, they grew up like sisters. My grandmother was the oldest of 7 and my Aunt Alice was the youngest. And so my grandma pretty much raised Alice. And so they had children together. The mom and Joy went to school together. They did everything together, just like sisters. They're inseparable. So I remember this moment of when my mom cut my hair, and I had curlier hair back then, and then she gave me a Tony home permanent. And I remember sitting on top of my grandma's dining room table as she and Joy were doing this. And of course, that's back when they were like smoking and they were doing the tote. And I remember the papers. I remember the cigarette smoke. I remember my grandmother was so sweet and just chiming in. And so it was ready for picture day. And my grandma made me this beautiful blue velvet dress. So anyway, that's one of my childhood stories of getting my Tony home perm. And okay, so now I think everyone's here. Hopefully I haven't bored you to tears with my Tony home perm story. So I can't wait to remind my mother of that. All right, so let's talk about paper. All right, so I'm going to start with the lowest level of paper, all right? And that, for me, is newsprint. However, I love newsprint. I think it is a really important paper to have in your studio, in your artillery of paper, because you figure out your ideas, you practice. And it can be frustrating, like when you're using charcoal, it gets smudgy and it smears, but that's okay. We're not trying to be perfect. We're trying to get an idea from here and here onto the page. So I usually have a few of them. This one I got from Blick. It's a Canson. It's a real thick one. It's 9x12, and it's a size I use a lot when I teach classes because of being in the camera angle. A 9x12 or 11x14 works for when I'm filming the class. So I find this works, and I think I have an 11x14 one as well. And then the other size that I use is this big one, and it's Strathmore, but you can also buy big stacks of newsprint on Blick, like 500 sheets, and it's really economical. I just don't have a space to store flat a giant stack of newsprint, and it would just be another big mess on the floor that you don't see right now. So think about, oops, there goes all the paper. Think about when you're buying your paper, think about the size of the art you want to make, okay? And the standard sizes are like, 8x10, 9x12, 11x16, 12x16, 11x14, 12x16, and then this big pad is 18x24. I think that's the largest size pad. And I will show you this. So these are all my practice drawings, all right? This is years and years of practice on newsprint. And I can work and rework and rub things out on my newsprint. And I am not worried about what's happening, okay? I love working on newsprint because of that. And I can even add white charcoal to it, or white pastel. I can put pastel color. I don't usually do that because I don't like how it looks because this is such a weird dull background. But it does allow me to step back, and that's why I like this size too, because I can put it on my easel and I can step back and I can look at what I'm drawing, think about it, contemplate what's happening in it, where I need marks, and just like sometimes just go up and make one mark and that's the mark. So newsprint for me is a really important paper to have. Then the next paper I have that I have a lot of, I'm going to keep diving down here as I do this, is sketch pads, all right? And there are a myriad of sketch pads. I just stick, because it's easy, I just stick to Strathmore. I like it. I can order it from Amazon. They actually have it at my, Office Depot Staples place, and I can go in and use my coupon and get sketchbooks. All right, so I like to have the same sizes. This is a 9x12. This is 11x14. And this is what I figure stuff out. I figure it out on this paper what I am going to draw. And I'll do it over and over. This is also Strathmore. I'm just thinking, let's see, this one is a 50-pound and this is a 60-pound. So this is a little bit weightier than this one, and I think I picked this one up at Staples. But I just, look here, I figured out how I was going to do I don't know if I have it down here, in wallflowers, the parts of the flower where I hand painted the parts of the flower. So I think it's an important thing. It's a step up. I like using it because I can put, it grabs the charcoal or the pencil easier. So I have, what sizes do I have? 9x12, 11x14, 11x14. So this one's the flip top of the 11x14. And then I have the large size. So I think it's important to try and work large. when you're filming a video, or if like you're sitting on the couch with your journal, your body, my body, your body, it's tighter, okay? Because you're in this kind of awkward position. You're not grounded. You're not using the earth as part of how you move. And I think it's really important. And that's why I put the wall easel up, so I wasn't always bending over and getting a weird perspective on my art. I want to step back. I have a chair. I sit here. I listen to music. I look at the drawing, the painting. That's part of the whole creative process, is looking. And also, you know, the whole idea of making it little, making it big, making your marks huge, making your marks small, all of that goes into your style development as an artist, and your visual vocabulary and what you choose to create. And I find that this size, which I just do with my drawings, I don't know, they just sound, oh, there they are. Like when I work on my drawings, and they're larger, I feel like I just have a better sense of what I'm trying to create. So I never really go bigger than this when I'm drawing. Okay, so that's Newsprint sketchbook. Let's see. Let's talk about and drawing paper. All right, so for me, where did I put it? Okay, here we go. For me, I have tried every kind of drawing paper that I can get my hands on. And I always come back to Strathmore. I don't know where my pad is. It's missing. Anyway, Strathmore drawing paper. There it is. Okay. Strathmore drawing paper. Here's my big size. So now I have a newsprint, a sketch pad, and the drawing paper all in this large size. And recently, I just purchased, because I love Strathmore, the big roll. And so you have to, with this roll, if you see over here on the corner, that is a big piece cut from here, and I'm letting it relax. I actually put it on the floor, I rolled it out, I put some books to weight it to help relax the paper, and closed the door so Millie wouldn't come in with her muddy paws and step on my drawing paper. And then I just gently took a very sharp X-Acto knife and a ruler and cut the edge. And so now it's hanging up there to relax some more. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it, but I'm playing around with it. So Strathmore is the one I like, and I do most of my portraits on Strathmore because it takes a lot of charcoal and it also takes pastel. I don't push a lot of pastel on it, mainly pastel. I have a little pastel in her face just to add some color interest, and it takes graphite really well. So for me, Strathmore, I think, I'm not sure, and I will research, I think they have a bright white as well. So if anyone's used that. Now, these are some other papers. Here, oh, this is a sketch pad I found for 25 cents. I don't know where that came from. And it's great. Okay, for 25 cents, I can play with it. All right, let me put that in my sketch pads. I have tried Bristol paper. So I don't know if you've ever been across Bristol paper, and it is too slick for me, okay? And it comes in a couple different weights. This one's like a 13 pound. I have 157 pound Bristol, which is kind of thick, okay? And this one's like a layout paper. And I think that if you like, this one's very thin. And then I have this one that is 100 pounds. So it's a Strathmore, which I thought I would like, and I've used on for some things. And I feel like the Bristol, if you like to use graphite or colored pencils and you like really fine detail work, that might be a paper to give a try to, because it's very smooth. Markers, for people, like my daughter likes this because she is a marker. She's got more markers than I think exists. It's crazy. This girl has like boxes filled with markers in every color, fine point, thick, and she likes this because of how the marker glides. And if you also like Liquitex makes those paint pens that are really thick, that works really well on that as too. I just don't like how it feels while I'm drawing, and that's another important component, is how does it feel to you when you're drawing. So the other paper that I used to use this all the time, mixed media paper, but they changed it somehow, and it's like it's very thick, and I don't love it as much now. And I find that I'd rather do a mixed media piece using a nice watercolor paper like Arches, 140 pound, and just put clear gesso on it. And that brings me to watercolor paper. So, oh, I almost forget the watercolor paper yet. I have a couple other, hold on, I'm gonna dive under, papers here. Okay. So this, I don't know where I got it, but it's like super cool paper. It's like this weird gold ochre color, and it has like little, I'll hold it up close. It has like little speckles in it, white speckles, like the paper, like it's almost like a handmade paper, and it's very thin, but I think it's really beautiful. And I will try to figure out where I found this paper, and it doesn't tell me the weight or anything. There's not a name on it, so, but it's, you know, I bought it because it was cool looking. So, and it's really good for like pastel and white pastel and charcoal. It doesn't hold a lot of water though. And then the other one that I used it in a couple classes, is because I love Arches. So Strathmore and Arches are my two papers that I love, love, love. And I bought this drawing pad, and it's a really pretty creamy paper. And it's really nice for charcoal, for graphite. It doesn't hold water well at all, so I wouldn't use it in a mixed media piece. But it's another one. It's a pretty paper, and I love everything by Arches because it's pretty. Oh, I still have more drawing paper for you. All right, so ivory and white drawing paper. So we looked at the Bristol, we looked at Strathmore and Arches. The other paper that I have used, which I don't use it all the time, is toned paper. And you can get these little pads. Here, I got these on Amazon, I think. And it's just the tan toned paper. So the good thing about these is when you are working on value, it's a good paper. It's like an 80-pound weight. I wouldn't use it for my final piece. I would buy something else, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But I like playing around with toned paper. Anyway, there's another one. Let's see. There's a gray, that's watercolor. Well, let's see, sorry. Oh, here it is. Okay, so Strathmore makes this pad, and it's really beautiful paper. You can order it to test out the colors that you like. And they have like these beautiful blues. They have some pretty grays. I like the gray paper. Like a brown, for those of you like more of a rosy color, that's really pretty. And it all comes in one pad. There's a creamy color. Their blues and greens are pretty, in kind of this camel color. And it is called Art to Gain. I don't know if it's backwards or not. I can never figure that component out. So it's Strathmore. There's 24 sheets, assorted tints. And it's a really nice paper. So if you're going to work in color pencils, charcoal, pastels, this is great. It doesn't really hold water well. You can put a little wash if you want to, but you're gonna get that kind of wrinkle of the paper. So if you want to experiment with having a toned background, that's kind of how I transitioned from just drawing into bringing more color into my work, into painting. So it's kind of this progression over the years. But that is a really nice paper. What else do I have here? Okay, so I want to show you some. There is a company that I love, and I like their toned papers, and it's called Fabriano. And they also make a really beautiful watercolor paper. My friend Andrea Garvey loves the Fabriano hot press. You can get that watercolor paper in these pads or in big sheets. So that's a really nice hot or cold press. But they have toned paper that's so beautiful. And I'm gonna show you, this one was a gray toned paper, this piece I did. Here, I'll show you the back. Oh, the back is all dirty. Okay, so it's a dirty piece. But this I did in charcoal like years ago. This girl, and look at her dreads. Aren't they cool? I was so proud. This took me like 3 months to do. So it's all in charcoal, white charcoal, and then I added pastel, and her jewelry has like a little bit of like gold pastel on it. And it was wonderful to work on. So that's Fabriano, and it comes in a couple of different colors. I have to put her back in here. She just sits in my basement in this is how she sits. I have her in a piece of clear paper. I don't know what to do with her right now, but one day I will. Maybe one day I'll sell her. I love her though. And then I have another piece of the Fabriano. I'll just pull this up. I did this girl all in charcoal on this pale blue paper, and it's very beautiful. So if you go onto Blick and look at their toned papers, the Fabriano, maybe that's what it is. Fabriano. I think it's Fabriano. I'll double check for you. It's really beautiful paper. It's so beautiful for drawing, for charcoal. It's great. Now, I want to go on to a couple other things before I finish. Watercolor paper. I prefer arches. I've tried different ones, and everyone has what they like. As I said, I do like the Fabriano. I've tried, this is kind of a inexpensive brand, and it comes in a block so that you can paint on here. I don't love it, but it's nice for me to do quick studies, play with paint color. It's fine. And it comes in some like little blocks too, so you could do like little mini drawings. All right, so let's see. Got the mixed media out of there. And arches. All right, so I love the Arches watercolor paper. I usually buy it in a big sheet and then tear it down. I like this is a piece of it, this 140 pound, but I really like the 300 pound, which I get it in a big sheet, and it's very, very thick, okay? And it comes with a deckled edge. And I have a piece up here that I did on it. I've done a lot of acrylic painting on top of the watercolor paper. And the 300 pound, I don't put any clear gesso on it, and I don't feel that it absorbs all the color out of the acrylic. And I don't do a ton of watercolor, maybe when I'm traveling, because I mainly use acrylics and oils, but I used acrylics, and then I put some gesso over the acrylics, and then added some pastels and charcoal. So I really love that. I get it in order to tear the paper, if you get a big sheet, I just take a very light, like an HB charcoal pencil, and I measure out the size I want. And then I have this metal ruler, and I wipe it down to make sure it's clean. I make sure my hands are very clean. I put it on my dining room table, and I put the ruler down, and I pull up. And you just have to put pressure as you go down, as you tear the paper. And then I can put it into the sizes. It's much more economical than buying the pads of paper, especially the arches, because the pads are expensive. And but I do have some of them. So I have that, and then the 300 pound. The last thing I want to talk to you about is my favorite paper in the whole wide world is the Arches oil paper. And you can use acrylics on this. It takes so much material. I can't tell you. Anything on paper back here that you've seen, I've used oil and coal wax on it. I did not gesso, I did nothing. I just went directly onto the paper. The paper feels good, it's beautiful. It's kind of has a little bit of a texture to it. It's just wonderful. And so I have it in the size pads that I like, but they're expensive and you only get 12 sheets and I don't know, I think it was like $17. So I ordered the big sheets. And I think I can't remember the price, but I ordered 5 of them. They come like this, on my arches. And that way I can make a big painting on the larger piece, 18 by 24. And so they come wrapped and they have usually have 2 pieces of cardboard. And so then I will store it like this in my studio and put, where is it? One of these clips on it so that it stays in here and doesn't slip down and get bent. So I have a little place behind my workbench where I put the paper. Okay, so that's oil paper. I use the oil paper like pieces of it. I will cut up little pieces and make my paint swatches, which is really important. What else do I have? Oh, kind of novelty paper. There's the vintage paper, which I think that's a whole nother day, but we all know I love vintage paper, and so do you. I know you do. And so I have my vintage paper, which we'll talk about that at another time. So the other paper that I love, this is one more, I think this is the last one, this is by Canson, and it's a transparent paper. And I have been using this a lot, and it's fun to use ink and pens, and I had a huge sheet and I wrote out some stuff. Yeah, kind of cool. And then I can do things with it. So, and it feels good, it's real crunchy and I kind of like it. You can put clear gesso on top of it and paint on top of it and you get some very cool effects for your collage paper. So I think that's all my paper as I look around. I don't know if I missed something, but if you have questions about paper, just let me know. And I think all the papers that I love are linked in my resource section of under art supplies. And I'm eventually going to create like an Amazon store where you can just go in and find all the papers, find all the paints. It's on my list. What else did I want to tell you? So when it comes to paper, my final thoughts are think about the size that you like to work in and then find something larger too. Force yourself to go bigger because I think it changes the dynamic of your artwork. Think about what it is you want to create. So for me, like I used to love using the mixed media paper and now I don't love it anymore. So things are going to change. And I want to work in oil and coal wax, so I'm going to use that Arches oil paper. I love to draw, and after all these years of trying every kind of paper, I have settled on, I like Arches hot press watercolor paper for my drawings, and I can use ink and charcoal. I've done that a lot. I like that. And then I also like the Strathmore paper. So it makes it easier for me when I know what to get. I just have these things. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to never try anything else. Of course, if I go traveling and I go into a paper store and there's beautiful paper, I'm gonna buy it. You know, if it's like yummy, gorgeous paper, I'm gonna get it. So anyway, I think that is it. And I will have to go back in, but let me see if there's any questions right now. Thank you for being here today. And I hope you enjoyed it as I kept dropping down and coming back up again. So I have so much fun chatting with you. If you have any special requests, let me know and I'll think of another story for you for next week. All right, I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye.